I'm happy about Baldy being on. In terms of Christmas trees, Christmas lights. Let me just get to New Year's Day. Give me the New Year's Day. And if you give me the New Year's Day with the Niners with a playoff berth, I'll be really happy.
Are you gullible?
I am.
You think you are?
Oh, I know I am.
Like, as a 49er fan, you think you're gullible?
Oh, well, not as a Niner fan. No, not at all.
I always ask this question. This is a safe space, right? We can admit things here.
Yep.
Just us in the audience,
the
entire Bay Area.
Yep.
I've fallen for the banana in the tailpipe with the 49ers when it comes to the quarterback position specifically a lot of times.
I did with JT O'Sullivan. I thought he was going to lead us back to the promised land.
I want to go through some things here. So, obviously, Brock Purdy comes in, and he did really admirably. And I'm really rooting for him, and I want him to do well. But I also am trying to be reserved, and I'm going to be, I guess, cautiously optimistic moving forward. And you had a great point of view yesterday saying that you're just going to take it week to week. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. I remember where I was for each one of these. And I went down the rabbit hole of all the different times me, as a 49er fan, Joe Shasky, has fallen for the banana in the tailpipe when it comes to the quarterback.
I've only done it with JT O'Sullivan.
Now, the guys that have had the most success for the 49ers, going back to Jeff Garcia, have been some of the guys they've invested high draft capital in, who have been designated starters, who might have lost their job or whatever. Alex, number 1 overall, obviously lost his job, gained it back many times. Kaepernick, 34th overall pick, second rounder. You know, he took the job from Alex and had his moments, and then obviously lost his job, regained it. And then, obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo, who was a second-round pick, who they traded a second-round pick for and invested a ton of money into and had his job. Obviously, he's earned it, lost it, kind of won it back, I guess, if you will. But there's been many times in between Garcia and all those guys I've mentioned where I've fallen for it. B, do you want to go down the memory lane with me for a second?
So let me guess. Go ahead. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to sit back and just laugh.
Do you want to go in chronological order, or do you want to go in reverse order?
Well, let me just let everybody know that this segment is presented by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. Baldy's going to join us via Zoom in about 9 minutes. Yeah. So make me laugh.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Jeff Garcia gets injured. I fell for the banana in the tailpipe. I thought Tim Rattay was going to be that guy.
Of course you did.
Because he was the all-time Louisiana Tech. He broke Terry Bradshaw's records.
Yeah, they played nobody.
Okay.
They ran a spread formation.
So here you go, okay? Starting in place of an injured Jeff Garcia, Rattay wins 2 out of 3 games in 2003, throwing 7 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions before he ended up getting hurt. When Garcia was released in the March of 2004, Rattay gets the starting job. From 04 to 05, he went 2-11. 2-11.
So let me guess, you fell for the banana in the tailpipe with JT O'Sullivan like me?
We'll get to that.
You fell into it with Sean Hill?
We'll get to that.
You fell into it with Nate Davis?
So some of them I didn't omit because it's not even worth our time. So I took off the list Brian Hoyer, Gabbert, O'Sullivan, Wenke, Dilfer, Dorsey, Pickett. I took them off the list. Let me go to the next one. Sean Hill. Now look. We all thought Alex was going to be that dude. He ends up getting hurt. Out of nowhere steps Sean Hill in 2007. He makes his debut December 9th after Trent Dilfer got hurt with a severe concussion. I think it was his final game. In comes Sean Hill. He slings it 22-27 for 181, 1 touchdown in a loss to his former team, the Minnesota Vikings. Bonte, I thought Sean Hill was that dude. I did. I thought he was going to be that guy. I was wrong. Did you think that Sean Hill was going to be that guy?
I like Sean Hill. But I knew there was limitations.
Now,
I knew there was limitations. Got to remember, we grew up watching Joe Montana and Steve Young. It's easy to see the difference between a Sean Hill and 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
I agree. But similar to Tim Rattay, his first NFL start, December 15th, 2007, he beats the Cincinnati Bengals 21-28 for almost 200 yards, ran and threw for a touchdown. Sean Hill, if you were a Niner fan during that era, you got sucked in by Sean Hill. Wouldn't you agree?
Not everybody.
I think a lot of people did.
You know what? It's sad. It's sad. And this is why we're here with Brock Purdy.
I got 2 more.
This is why let's speed it up, because this is why we're here with Brock Purdy.
Troy Smith.
I thought Troy Smith, like JT O'Sullivan, I was on the Troy Smith train.
Okay, 2010, October 27th, Smith's announced starter against the Broncos. He's the first black quarterback ever to start for San Francisco, and during the game, he runs for a touchdown, throws another. Niners beat the Broncos.
Well, they were down 17-0 in that football game.
Look at you.
They were down 17-0 in London. That game was in London.
16-0, but yes.
It was 16-0?
Yes.
All right, 16-0.
They win 24-16.
Yep.
Unbelievable, all right? And then he ends up winning 3 out of 2.
Yeah, they beat the Rams in overtime, and I remember he led in the locker room. He broke it down, said, all right, baby, we're back. We're going to go to the playoffs. Singletary was in the middle of that huddle. And as you know, that season ended with Troy Smith yelling at Singletary on the sideline.
He wins 2 weeks in a row, loses another, then he gets benched for who? Alex Smith. Okay, so I fell for Troy Smith. I thought he was going to be that dude. And then the last ones, C.J. Beathard, I never fell for, but Niner fans did. I remember the voice of the 49ers. He's so tough. He stands in there and throws the ball hard. Remember that?
Oh, well. C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins.
I'm getting to him. Beathard makes his debut against the Washington football team, replacing Brian Hoyer, who stunk. He plays the rest of the game. Yep. 45-yard pass to Aldrick Robinson. That's a name.
They lost 26-24 that game.
Look at you. They narrowly lose 26-24. He's named the starter, and the very next week, they get blown out by the Dallas Cowboys 40-10.
Yep, at home. Ezekiel Elliott had a screen pass that day. I think it was like 56 yards. It was the day, I believe, they honored Dwight Clark. That day, and they played Eric Reed at linebacker. Very good
knowledge. Very good knowledge.
They played Eric Reed at linebacker in the nickel, and they got ran over, and it was depressing.
So, and then the last one, Nick Mullins, 16-22 in the final ever Battle of the Bay game against the Raiders on a Thursday night. 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. It's one of the greatest debuts in the history of quarterbacking because it was so unprecedented in what he did in his first ever start. A quarterback rating of 151. What's the common denominator from Nick Mullins, Beathard, Troy Smith, Sean Hill, Tim Rattay?
What is it?
They all started off with so much promise, and yet I think most fans around the league that aren't Niner fans took a step back and said, this is unsustainable.
I was never sold on Mullins. You know that.
I know you weren't. I
tried to save this fan base.
I know you
from
weren't.
Believing. People hated Jimmy Garoppolo so much, and I was like, whoa. We need Jimmy. Don't need Nick Mullins playing. And Michael Silver came out with that report before the 2019 season. If Jimmy struggles, this coaching staff will turn to Nick Mullins. And I thought it was a complete farce. I thought it was a farce. And I said, come on, man. If Nick Mullins plays a down at quarterback, this season is over. Thankfully, in 2019, he didn't play much.
No.
And the Niners advanced to the Super Bowl.
But
he did play in 2020, and people got gassed up because he led up the sorry-ass New York Giants. And it's Sunday Night Football. I'll admit this. Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles was the first time I ever rooted against a 49ers quarterback.
Why?
I wanted him to fail so bad.
Why?
Because of the disrespect Jimmy Garoppolo was receiving from this fan base. Yeah. And I wanted Nick Mullins to fail. And by the end of that game, he was on the sideline and he got benched.
I felt bad for him.
I laughed for 15 straight minutes.
When he missed use check on that little screen early in the game.
And then he threw a pick six the next play.
It was so bad.
Then he threw a pick six the next play. And then he threw another pick six. And they showed the Eagles in the zone. They rushed 2 guys. They dropped back 9. And the Niners had a one route. They ran one receiver on the route. And he threw a pick. And I just laughed. And I remember we did the post-game show, and I ripped everybody. I think you started by me. I'm not falling for it.
Well, no, so here's where I'm going with this, okay? I am rooting for Brock Purdy. I really am. We have no other choice. I want him to win. But I also want to be realistic here. And I just take a deep breath, Niner fans. All right? He's not the second coming of Christ. I hope he can win some games.
Let me ask you something.
I do. But I don't want to fall for the banana in the tailpipe like I've done for Mullins and Beathard and Troy Smith and Sean Hill and Tim Rattay, because I am guilty of doing that so many times before.
What do you make of, because you were at training camp. You're at training camp. And I'm seeing reports yesterday that some people think Brock Purdy was the best quarterback in training camp.
All right.
Better than Trey. Better than Nate Sudfeld. He was better than everybody.
Okay, so that is just unequivocally not what my eyes saw. All right, I wrote it down. I think I went to 7 padded practices and 2 or 3. I didn't know if it was 2 or 3 non-padded practices because one of the days I went, they took the pads off because they were hitting too hard the day before or whatever. You barely saw Brock running 11 on 11s. The way it works is here comes Trey. He's going to run 4, 5, 6 plays, okay? And then he comes out, and then it was Sudfeld because Jimmy wasn't practicing, and he's going to run 3 or 4, maybe 5 plays. And then for 1 or 2 plays, Brock Purdy would go out there. Now, the way they were doing their substitution patterns and everything, for the most part, when Trey Lance was going out there, now we're armed with the hindsight. Now we're armed with the data. He was facing, and I knew it in real time watching it, a defense that was so suffocating, no one was open. And everyone was like, he's not ripping it. He's not throwing it. There's no one to throw to. I kept saying to Sam Lubman, we were watching, standing there, like, and Stephen Langford as well. I'm like, there's nobody to throw to. Like, no one's getting any separation. But when Brock went in there, he made a couple of plays in 11 on 11s. I'm not going to diminish him, but in the drills, to me, it was the most noticeable. In between the middle of the field, he wasn't bad. Anytime he had to roll out and throw on the run, either across his body or to the short side of the field, he wasn't as good. He was skipping passes left and right. That's just what my eyes saw.
All right.
I'm just telling you what I saw. I was there.
Well, let's get the ball, D.
And I'm rooting for him. I want him to do well, Bonte.
It's just a rookie quarterback's never won a Super Bowl. And I just think when people tell me that he has enough to help this team get to Glendale, Arizona, I laugh and say, I'm sorry. I don't have any faith in Brock Purdy walking into Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field against that defense in front of that fan base. This ain't the Big 12. You ain't playing in Ames, Iowa. You're not playing in Lawrence, Kansas. You're not playing in Lubbock, Texas. You're not in Waco, Texas. It's the NFL, man. It's the NFL,
well,
and I just don't see it, man. And Brock Purdy's a nice story.
I'm rooting for him. And look, maybe he proves me and everybody else wrong, but I'm trying to, for me, I'm rooting for him. I want him to be great.
But you're trying to temper the expectations?
I'm trying to not set myself up for being a fool, and that's all I'm saying. Let's just take it week to week. I don't think that's an irrational opinion.
No, it's not. All right.
Can we just take it one step at a time?
Yeah, I want to.
That's all?
I tried to yesterday.